Alrighty guys, welcome back to part 2 of the VCarve beginning lesson that we're running here on Design to Manufacture channel. I'm Rob and I'm going to be taking you guys through how to set toolpaths today to set this project up for being CNC cut. Alright, so that's where we're going to start off with. If you guys aren't already at this step or have missed the first video, please jump out of this one now, jump into the first one, give it a watch, and come back here when you're all done. Our videos are nice and short and should be easy for everybody to follow. So hopefully once you've watched that, you'll know where we're at and you'll understand what we're going to do from here. Beautiful. So today we're going to start looking at toolpaths. Toolpaths are hiding over here on our VCarve screen. All right, again, this is the pro version. So if you're running a free version, it might be slightly different. But first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pin that in so it doesn't keep hiding my toolpaths. I like to have it hidden while I'm drawing and designing to begin with because it just takes up screen space. But once I've got my design pretty much sorted, having that toolpaths up just makes my life a little bit easier for making all of my toolpaths. Now let's zoom in so you guys can see. Remembering that zoom, I'm just using the wheel on my mouse. All right, if you're not running a mouse on your computer, you should be able to use 2 fingers on your touch screen. Yep, you can. On your touchpad, sorry. It's just a little bit chaotic if you didn't notice by how quickly I zoomed out then. All right, so we're going to jump across and have a look at these tools. We have a profile, which is what we use to make cuts around a profile or around an edge. All right, in this case, we're going to be using that to cut out the outside of our nameplate or our plaque here. We have pockets, which carve out interior surfaces. So we're going to be using those for everything else. But we also have some other functions like drilling toolpaths, thread milling toolpaths, engraving and inlaying and so on. There's a whole lot that we can do here. All right, again, in the basics, we're sticking with the simple ones, the ones that everyone sort of starts off with. And then once we get a little bit further into this software, we'll take a deep dive into some of the other toolpaths and how they work. Now, some of the biggest things to bear in mind for when you're setting up toolpaths is, firstly, you need to know your machine. You need to know what its spindle speed's at, how fast it can move, what sort of bit you've put into it, what's its diameter, what's its maximum chip load, and all of those sort of things. If you don't know those bits of information, find them before you start drawing your toolpaths because it's going to change how everything works. And I'm going to show you that a little bit more in a second. All right, so we're going to jump in. We're going to select Profile Toolpath. And I'm going to select the profile that I want this tool to follow, which is going to be my outside edge. All right. So you'll know you've highlighted the right one when it goes like pinky purple. All right. And here we can see start depth 0 meters. Or 0 millimeters. That's the Z position. All right, as I said to you guys when I set the file up in the last one, my Z position is the top of the board. So it's going to start at 0, and I've set the cut depth for 18. That's going to go a millimeter below the bottom of my job, and the reason for that is I want it to cut all the way through. If there's a little bit of warpage in the board or anything like that, it's just going to alleviate or a little bit of an issue with the level on my CNC router. This just seems to get rid of all of those issues and I get a nice clean cut every time. I've also got a waste board on my machine. So it means that those little grooves that go a bit further in, they don't damage the machine. They just cut into this waste board. And once that waste board is pretty much fully dead with lots and lots of grooves all over it and unable to get leveled again, I can either resurface it with my router or I can throw it away, put a new one on and go again. So that's the easiest option for me. Obviously, if you've got a T-groove surface or anything like that, you probably don't want to be cutting into it and you want to probably set that to the exact thickness of your material. All right. The next part here is the tool. So I've got in my machine a 6mm end mill piece. All right. Now, if I click the edit button here, you can see all the specs behind my end mill. You can see that it is an end mill. Its diameter is 6mm. It has 3 flutes. All right, that's slightly different to some other cutters. Some might only have 2. All right, make sure you know how many flutes yours has got. You should be able to find that on your tool information. All right, then I can set my cutting pass parameters. Now, I've been experimenting with some deeper passes with this bit, and 4mm seems to work okay. 5 has been good. All right, so I'm going to leave it at 5. That's going to be my pass depth. It gets through it a little bit quicker, a little bit less layers or passes to do this job, and it just makes my life, again, pretty easy. My spindle speed for my machine is 1300. My feed units are millimeters per minute, and I can do 8,000 millimeters per minute on the feed and 400 millimeters per minute on the plunge. All right, this is tool number 1. If you've got a multi-headed machine, obviously you can set up tool number 1, 2, 3. If you're doing multiple jobs, my machine's only a 1 head. And I also have a chip load figure here. Most tools will have an optimum chip load. Please try and get it as close to the optimum chip load as you can. It improves how long your tool lasts, so you're not burning it out too quickly. All right, hit OK. You can see that's changed my passes to 4. Now, if you've got different bits, if I go to the select option, you can see that a whole heap of different bits. This is the setting that I was just in now, which was the info specific to my bit. But if you've got any of these other bits, both in millimeters or in metric or in imperial, all right, you can go through and set up your bits using these settings, all right, and change your bits over. And as I said, you can set new tool numbers as required, all right. So I'm happy with that. That's my bit. That's where you guys are probably going to differ from me, is setting up your bits as per your machine. All right, next thing I'm going to look at here is my machine vectors. So I want this to cut on the outside of the line. All right, so I've got it set outside. So you can see this bit, this little yellow circle, is going to move around the outside of my shape, giving me my finished 200 by 100 rectangle. All right, if I wanted to cut on the inside, I could select that, or on the line, depending on what you're doing. All right, obviously for this, outside is the right choice for me. All right, I don't ever do a separate last pass, but if that's something that you need to do for your specific job, the options are there. But what I do need to do is I need to add some tabs. All right, tabs help hold my shape in place after this profile cut's been done, so that my piece doesn't move, grab on the tool bit as it finishes this last pass, or anything like that, and end up getting damaged or broken and have to be recut. So when I add tabs, I usually stick with the presettings here of 12 mils long and 3 mils in thickness. All right, I've never really bothered with 3D tabs. If you want to have a crack at those, you're more than welcome to have a go. And then here is where I can place them. All right, I don't like automatically placed tabs. What I'll usually do is I'll put 2 tabs on the same side. For an object this shape, 2 tabs is plenty, or size, 2 tabs is plenty. And the reason I put my tabs on the same side is so I can break my job out of the sheet a lot easier. If I've got them on opposing sides, I usually have to get a little oscillating saw or something like that in to cut those tabs out so I can get my shape out. All right, and that's a real pain in the butt sometimes with my machine, particularly the one that I've got mounted in a trailer, because I don't have a lot of overhead clearance. So tabs on the same side works for me. It's been really, really good. No dramas, but you guys follow your flavor and what you'd like to do there. All right, now I've placed them. I'm happy. Everything else down here, because I don't need to have a ramp or a lead or anything like that, I'm happy with everything else there, except I'm going to change this to outside cut 18 millimeters. It just makes it easier for me to remember exactly what this cut is. And if you end up with more than one profile or more than one pocket cut on the same drawing, it can be really, really handy to label them so you know what you're doing. Then I can hit calculate. It'll give me a warning that it's going over the max material thickness, which is what I wanted it through. So that's okay. And I'm happy. Now, you can see it's dropped me into the three-dimensional view, all right? And you can see it's starting at 0, 0. This is usually where my tool bit is located on my CNC router when I've got it started. It moves here, it travels down, and the blue lines are the cut lines, all right? I can also preview all or preview visible. If it's not clicked, it won't be visible, but preview all toolpaths and it will give me a preview, and you can see it cuts it and it leaves these little tabs in. Now you can see that the outside of the shape, there's a good amount of room to get a little bit of a lift up, and that usually breaks the timber on those tabs. Nice and easy, happy days. All right. Now you can do a whole heap of stuff here, but for me, I just like to see that everything's working how it should. And I'm happy, so I'm going to close this preview pane up, right? And I'll flick back to 2D view, right? And you'll notice that I can't see my toolpath at the moment, but if I tick that box, it becomes visible. You can see what direction the tool's going to travel, and you can see these little green lines show you where the tabs are going to be. That's handy if you've got lots of objects on your sheet, all right? So you don't put tabs in the same spot or anything like that. Okay. So that's the easy one done. Now we're going to do the pockets. Pockets are going to be easy. We're going to click that circle. All right. Then I'm going to hold shift and click the other circle and then click the design to manufacture labels. These are all going to be a pocket. They're all going to be engraved into my surface, and I'm going to engrave them 3 millimeters deep. The reason I do 3 millimeters is, one, it gives a nice bit of definition for these, for my name. And the other one is 3 millimeters is a nice size for me if I'm going to laser cut any little plugs or anything like that to sit over those screw holes. All right, so I leave it at 3 mil. You can see that, again, this is set for my end mill 6-bit. So that's the same bit that I just ran the outside cut with. You could do a more detailed bit to engrave these, and that would be handy, because you're going to see some issues in a minute when I hit OK. But I've only got a 1-bit machine, which means that I like to make sure that my designs are going to work with the same bit for everything, because doing tool changeovers is a bit of a pain. So just bear that in mind. Depending on the machine that you've got, you might be able to set different bits up, or if you want to improve your efficiency, you want to probably make sure that all of your designs can be done with the same bit. All right, because it speeds up production. All right, we're going down. You can see how it does the pockets, what way it's going to work. You can edit all of this stuff, but I'm not going to. I'm happy with everything here. All right, and I don't want this video to get too long, so we're just going to go pocket, name, and screw 3 millimeter. All right, so pocket name and screw 3 millimeters deep. Calculate, and you can see straight up that something's looking a bit weird. You can't see the name. It doesn't look right. All right, and if we preview all toolpaths, you can see that it's putting a couple of little holes in. All right, if I go back to my 2D view, you can see it's doing a little hole there, and it's skipping the rest. The reason for that is the 6 millimeter bit that I'm using doesn't fit in these grooves. These grooves are smaller than 6 millimeters, so that it just thinks, I can't do that, it's too hard, and it doesn't even bother trying to put the piece in and ruin your design. So that's what I was saying before. If you had a multi-bit, you could stick with this size, put a 3 mil cutter or something like that into it, and it will probably churn this out beautifully. All right. How do I fix it for my 6mm? The easiest way for me to fix all of this would be to make it bigger. All right, really, really easy, simple start. If I make this all bigger, particularly the text, it's going to fit a lot nicer and I should be able to use my 6mm bit. So what we can do is we can hit the scale. I've selected all my objects by clicking and dragging over all of them. Scale, and I can go percentage, or I can type in the new measurement that I want it to. I'm going to anchor it to the bottom left, so hopefully it'll push this shape out that way, and I'll keep my 20mm margins. All right, and then I'm going to go, let's just try 300. All right, so it's going to scale everything by 150%, and I can hit apply, and you can see that it's moved everything, but the toolpaths are still where they were. All right, you can see those toolpaths are still previewed there. That's because when we calculated the toolpaths, the shape was drawn here. So what we have to do is go into each of the toolpaths, which you can do by just double clicking on it like I just did, and then recalculating it. All right, so you can see that recalculates. You'll also see my preview still has all the old stuff in it, so I can reset the preview. All right, I'm going to wait till I've done the pocket name, the pocket on a recalculate to see if it's going to work, and I don't think it is. I don't think it's quite big enough. So now we can preview all toolpaths, and you see it's getting close. It's a lot closer than it was, but I still don't have enough space there. All right, so again, we're going to go back to 2D view. We're going to select our whole thing, and we're going to go to scale. And this time I'm going to push it to 400mm wide. Apply, and then simply go to that outside cut, calculate it again, all right, and do that and recalculate it. And now that looks like a text. I'll reset my preview and preview all toolpaths, and you can see that that plaque is cut out beautifully now. I've got a nice engraved name in there. I can adjust my view so I can have a little bit of a look at how it's going to look. All right, and I'm really happy with that piece. That's come out very nicely. So that's all I'm going to do now. That's literally it. Keep watching. Keep tuned for our next short, and I'll show you guys how to export this G code for your cutter. And just keep watching this channel for more videos like this. We're going to get into some more advanced VCarve if this is your flavor, or keep tuned for all the other CAD and CAM package stuff that we're doing. We're looking at a whole range of software. So please make sure you subscribe, click on those notifications, click on the little notice bell for notifications, and make sure you keep watching. Thanks so much, guys. I'll catch you in the next video.